When the studio door clicked shut behind me, I knew mistake. Huge, catastrophic mistake. Women's Flow Yoga. That's what the class was called. The one I signed up for at 5 in the morning through the app without reading the description. Just tapped my finger on the first available slot because Sarah from marketing had been eating my brain all week. Dylan, you're a programmer. Your posture looks like a question mark. Try yoga. Now I stood barefoot on a turquoise mat, the only man in a sea of empty mats, and in front of me, Jesus. She turned from the window and the dawn sun backlit her silhouette like someone had turned on special effects. Long legs and black leggings that hugged every curve of her thighs and calves. A short burgundy top revealed a strip of flat stomach, not just flat, but sculpted, with a barely visible line of muscle disappearing under the elastic fabric. Dark hair pulled into a high ponytail, and eyes. Eyes like a drill sergeant before deployment. "You Dylan?" Her voice was low, velvety, but with metallic notes. "Yeah, I pointed at the app on my phone, as if that explained my presence. Signed up online." "I see." She moved closer, and I noticed how smoothly she moved, as if stepping not on the floor, but on water. "I'm Madison, your instructor, and judging by how you're standing, you've never done yoga." Not a question, a statement. "Well, I watched a video on YouTube once." "YouTube," she repeated, and the corner of her mouth twitched. A smile or a death sentence? "Okay, Dylan from YouTube. Warm up." The next 15 minutes turned into my personal circle of hell. She demonstrated poses with such ease, as if her body didn't know about gravity. "Cat-cow." She arched like a bow, and I tried not to look at how the top rode up an inch higher, revealing the lower part of her breasts. "Focus, idiot. This is yoga, not a strip show." "Dylan, your back should arch, not break." Madison stood next to me, arms crossed. "Let me." She dropped to her knees beside me, and I felt her palms on my back. Warm, confident. She pressed between my shoulder blades, and something clicked. "Ouch!" "That was tension," she explained, not removing her hands. Her fingers slid lower, to my lower back, correcting the position. "You hold everything here. Let go." Let go. Easy to say when her breasts are almost touching my arm and she smells like coconut and something sharp and spicy. "Better." She patted my ass approvingly, like a horse. "Next pose." I blinked. Did she really just... Madison was already standing on her mat, stretching her arms up in mountain pose. Light from the window passed through the fabric of her top, outlining her body's silhouette. Long breasts, round and high, waist narrow, hips wide, feminine. Programmer, remember pie. "Downward dog," Madison commanded. I assumed the position, feeling the muscles on the back of my thighs screaming in pain. Madison approached from behind. "Hips higher!" Her palms landed on my hips and pushed upward. I gasped, not from pain, but from how close she stood. Her thighs pressed against my ass as she corrected the pose. "Knees straight, Dylan," she whispered near my ear. "No cheating. This is torture. This is some kind of sexual torture disguised as fitness." "Madison, I can't," I groaned. "You can." Her voice became softer. She walked around to the front, squatted on the mat, and looked up into my eyes. "Breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth." I breathed, watched as her breasts rose and fell in rhythm. "See, you're holding on," she smiled, and it was the first real smile. Warm, a bit playful. For the first time, not bad. She stood up, and I couldn't help it. I glanced at how the leggings hugged her ass as she turned back to her spot. Round, firm. Madison turned so quickly I didn't have time to look away. "Caught you," she said, raising an eyebrow. My face flamed. I wasn't... "Yes, Dylan, you were looking." She leaned forward, hands on her knees. The cleavage deepened. "And you know what? That's normal. But if you want to admire better, earn it." "Earn it?" I croaked. "Warrior 2. If you hold it for 2 minutes without shaking, maybe I'll let you look some more." She winked. Is this flirting, or am I already burning from overexertion and hallucinating? Madison showed the pose. Wide lunge, arms to the sides, gaze stern and focused. She looked like an Amazon ready for battle. Arm muscles tense, shoulders open, chest expanded. I tried to repeat it. My legs started trembling after 30 seconds. "You giving up?" Madison approached, stood right in front of me, arms crossed under her breasts. "No," I squeezed out. "Then work." She circled around, and I felt her palms on my shoulders, pulled them back, opened my chest. Her fingers slid along my collarbones, correcting the position. "Breathe, Dylan. Don't hold your breath." Her lips were so close to my ear I could feel the warmth. Somehow, I held it. 2 damn minutes of trembling, sweat, and pink flashes before my eyes. When Madison said, "Release," I fell on the mat like dead. She laughed, low, husky, squatted nearby, held out a water bottle. "You actually held it," she said with something like respect. "Most guys give up." I took a sip, trying not to look at the drops of sweat running down her neck to her collarbones. Lost. Earned. "So what now?" I asked, trying to sound neutral. Madison smiled, slowly, like a cat before a hunt. "Now, Dylan, we move on to real yoga. What we did, that was warm-up." I groaned. She laughed again and extended her hand, helping me up. Her palm was small in mine, but strong. "Welcome to hell," she whispered. "I hope you have stamina." Pigeon pose, that's what Madison called the position that was supposed to kill me. I lay on the mat, one leg bent in front, the other stretched back, and my hips screamed so loud I was sure the neighbors could hear. "Lower!" Madison stood over my head, looking down. From this angle, I could only see her chin and, "Stop, don't look there." "Madison, I physically can't," I groaned. "You can. You just don't want to." She dropped to her knees, her face level with mine. "You know what your problem is, Dylan?" "That I came to women's yoga?" She snorted. "That you think too much. Your brain is constantly working, analyzing, calculating. And your body? It just wants to feel." Her hand landed on my lower back, warm and heavy. "Close your eyes," she ordered quietly. I obeyed. In the darkness, every touch intensified tenfold. Madison pressed on my lower back, pushing my pelvis to the floor. Pain flared in a bright wave, but then something released. Muscles relaxed, and I exhaled so loudly as if I hadn't breathed in hours. "See?" Her voice was almost tender. "You've been holding this for months, maybe years." I opened my eyes. Madison sat beside me, watching me with some strange attention. Her hand still lay on my back, thumb drawing barely noticeable circles. "Are you always this hands-on with students?" I asked, trying to sound playful. A smile touched her lips. "No, Dylan, not always." "What does that mean?" She arose with a fluid motion, like a wave, effortless, extended her hand to me. "Partner stretching," she announced. "Ready?" "For what?" "To trust me." This is a trap. Definitely a trap. Madison walked to the wall where colorful yoga straps hung. She took one, soft, fabric, coral. "Lie on your back," she commanded. I lay down, heart pounding like I'd run a marathon. Madison stood by my feet, took my right leg, and placed it on her shoulder. She wrapped the strap around my foot, then pulled toward herself. My leg rose vertically up, and Madison stepped closer. Her thigh ended up next to my thigh, almost pressed against it. "Breathe," she said, leaning forward. She pressed my leg to my chest, and her body covered mine, stomach to stomach, breasts almost touching my chin. I felt every curve of her body through the thin fabric of clothing. Warmth, firmness, softness where there should be softness, and muscle hardness everywhere else. "Madison," I croaked. "You're doing great," she whispered, and her breath touched my lips. "This isn't yoga. This is something else. Something much more dangerous." She released my leg and repeated with the left. This time she leaned even lower, her face inches from mine. Eyes, dark brown, almost black, looked straight into my soul. "You tensed up again," she noted. "I'm not." "You're lying," she smiled. I feel every one of your muscles, Dylan. You can't hide from me." Her hand slid across my chest, seemingly accidentally, seemingly just checking breathing, but her fingers lingered a bit longer than necessary. I swallowed. "Are you playing with me?" Madison tilted her head, hair cascading over her shoulder. "What if I am? Are you going to complain?" "I don't know if I have the right to complain when you look—" I stopped, biting my tongue. "How?" Her voice became lower, challenging. "Say it, Dylan. How do I look?" Trap. Definitely a trap. But I couldn't stop anymore. Like sin in leggings. Silence. Long, heavy silence, during which I managed to regret all my life decisions. And then Madison laughed, genuinely, loudly, throwing her head back. Her stomach tensed, and I saw how the muscles played under her skin. "Sin in leggings," she repeated, wiping tears. "God, Dylan, that's the best thing I've heard all week." She sat next to me on the mat, hugging her knees. The profile took my breath away. The fine line of her neck, the curve of her breasts, the flat line of her stomach. "You know why I teach women's yoga?" she asked unexpectedly. "Because men are pigs? Because men don't know how to let go of control," she turned to me. "They come, try to be the best, the strongest, compete even here where there's no one to compete with. But yoga, it's about surrendering, about allowing your body to be weak." "And I'm supposed to surrender to you?" Madison smiled, predaciously. "You already have, Dylan, when you were looking at my ass during Downward Dog." I blushed so hard I felt heat on my temples. "I wasn't. You were looking. And you know what?" She leaned closer, her lips near my ear. "I wanted you to look." God, what's happening?" She pulled back, stood up, and extended her hand. "One last pose," she said. "The hardest." "Worse than what we've already done?" "Oh, much worse," she winked. "But if you manage, I promise a reward." I took her hand and stood up, feeling my legs trembling. Madison stood behind me, her breasts touching my back. "Standing split," she whispered. "Bend forward, hug your right leg, and lift your left as high as possible." I bent forward, gripping my calf. Madison lifted my left leg, holding it by the foot. Higher, even higher. I felt muscles stretching, body balancing on the edge of pain and pleasure, and then her other hand landed on my thigh, high, almost by my ass. Squeezed. "You're solid," she noted quietly. "Stronger than you seem." "Madison, I'm going to fall." "You won't. I'm holding you." And she really was holding me. Her hands, confident, warm, strong, wouldn't let me fall. I trusted her, completely, unconditionally. "Let go," she whispered. I let go. My leg, tension, control, everything. And then Madison lowered my leg, turned me to face her. We stood so close I could feel the heat of her body, see the drops of sweat on her collarbones, inhale the coconut scent. "Reward," she said quietly, and kissed me. Her lips were soft but insistent, didn't ask permission, just took what they wanted. I froze for a second, my brain refusing to process the information, and then instinct took over. My hand landed on her waist, thin, firm, fitting perfectly under my palm. Madison smiled right into the kiss and pulled back. "You kiss better than you do yoga," she remarked, licking her lips. I still couldn't squeeze out words, just stood there staring at her like an idiot. She laughed, low, husky, and patted my cheek. "Breathe, Dylan, don't forget to breathe." I inhaled, exhaled, tried to gather the remnants of my mind. Was that part of the class? No. Madison walked to her mat, took a towel, and wiped her neck. The movement lifted the top an inch, revealing the lower part of her breasts. That was part of me not being able to resist when a guy looks at me like I'm the only woman in the universe. "You are the only woman in this studio," I tried to joke, but my voice sounded hoarse. Funny. She tossed the towel on the bench and approached again, slowly, deliberately, like a predator. But we both know it's not about that. Her finger touched the center of my chest, right over my heart. You looked at me like you wanted to memorize every line, every curve, like I'm art and you're in a museum. She's right. God, she's absolutely right. Do you really blame me for that? I asked, feeling confidence returning. Madison tilted her head, studying me. No, I thank you for it. Her hand slid up to my jaw. Her thumb traced my lower lip. Most men look and forget, or look and pretend they didn't. But you admired. That's the difference. I caught her hand, kissed the inside of her wrist, felt her pulse quicken. And do you always kiss your students after the first class? Only those who've earned it. She stepped back, and I saw the flush on her cheeks. Not from yoga, from something else. And you, Dylan from YouTube, have earned it. She turned to the counter, where her phone lay, and checked the time. Class ended 10 minutes ago, she noted. Technically, you can leave now. What if I don't want to? Madison turned, raising an eyebrow. Then you're either a masochist or a fool. Maybe both. I moved closer. Or just a guy who wants to see you again. Silence. She looked at me, studying, weighing something in her head. I have a class at 8, a real women's class. 15 women who'll come here to stretch and chat about their kids. Sounds terrible. Yeah, she smiled, but you can come Friday, 6 in the morning. Private session. Private. Will that cost more? I asked, trying to maintain neutrality. Madison came so close I could feel the heat of her skin. Oh, Dylan, she whispered, rising on her toes so her lips were near my ear. Her teeth barely touched my earlobe, and I felt sparks run down my spine. She pulled back, smiling innocently. Now go, take a cold shower, and don't forget to stretch tonight, or you won't be able to walk tomorrow. I grabbed my bag, still in a semi-shocked state. Madison, yeah? She stood by the window, silhouette again, backlit by the sun. Thanks for the lesson. She laughed. That wasn't a lesson, Dylan. That was foreplay. I walked out onto the street, where the September Portland sun was already beating down mercilessly. I pulled out my phone and opened the app. Found Friday, 6 in the morning, private session with Madison. My finger hovered over the book button. This is insane. She's the instructor, I'm the student. This is wrong. But then I remembered her smile, the touch of her hands, the taste of her lips. I pressed book. The phone vibrated, confirmation, and below it, a message from Madison. Good choice. Don't be late and wear something that comes off easily. We'll be working on flexibility, yours and mine. I stopped, grinning like an idiot in the middle of the sidewalk. Sarah from marketing was right. Yoga really did change my life. Just not the way she thought. 3 days later, Friday, 5:47 a.m. I stood in front of the studio door with flowers in my hands. Purple chrysanthemums. Because red roses seemed too cliché, and showing up empty-handed felt wrong. Flowers to yoga? You've officially lost your mind, Dylan. But the door opened before I could change my mind. Madison stood in the doorway in a new outfit, gray leggings and a white top that highlighted the golden tone of her skin. Her eyes stopped on the flowers, eyebrow raised. Seriously? I didn't know what to bring a yoga instructor, I explained. Google said flowers were a safe bet. She took the bouquet, buried her face in the petals. Google's an idiot, she said, but she was smiling. But this is sweet. Come in. The studio was dark, only candles flickering around the perimeter. It smelled like lavender and something woody. Where are the mats? I asked. No mats today. Madison set the flowers in a vase on the counter and turned to me. Today we're working on the floor. On the floor? Jesus! She approached, her fingers catching the edge of my t-shirt. I said, wear something that comes off easily. This is a t-shirt. It comes off easily. Madison pulled the fabric up, and I raised my arms, letting her remove the clothing. Cold air touched my skin, but a second later, her palms, warm and confident, on my chest. "Better option," she whispered. Her top went next. I helped, fingers trembling as I pulled the fabric over her head. She stood before me in an ivory-colored sports bra, and it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. "Yoga?" I asked hoarsely. "Later." Madison wrapped her arms around my neck and pulled me into a kiss. This time it was different. Slow, deep, exploratory. Her tongue traced my lower lip, and I opened my mouth, letting her in. Taste of mint and something sweet. We lowered to the floor, wooden, hard, but warm from the candles. Madison straddled me, her thighs embracing mine. I felt every movement of her body, every breath. "Dylan," she whispered between kisses, "are you sure?" "About you, yes." She smiled, genuinely, without irony. "Then show me how flexible you are." And I showed her. We moved like a dance, slowly, synchronously, feeling each other's rhythm. Her body was perfect, strong and soft at once, every line deliberate, every curve designed to drive you insane. When it was over, we lay on the floor, intertwined, breathing in unison. "That's the best yoga I've ever done," I said. Madison laughed, laying her head on my chest. "That's called Tantra, dummy." "Then sign me up for regular sessions." She lifted her head, looked at me, eyes shining, lips swollen. "Only if you promise to bring flowers every time." "Deal." And we kissed again, slowly, as if we had all the time in the world. Because maybe we did.